Hey everyone, I am Raymond, hanging out with my excellent friend Marcus Beer on a new venture that we're going to give a shot. We're going to try to do something regularly together and with friends. But today we're going to be talking about Black Adam. I have a feeling we have very different thoughts on this movie. I will let you kick off because it seems like you have very strong opinions on this one.
No, I'm going to let you go first. I basically,
Okay.
you're actually running the studio, as it were. So yes, apparently Ray Padilla, host unnamed podcast. Apparently, I'm not a host either. Apparently, I'm just
No.
no.
There
Apparently,
you are.
I just think you should, beer and Ray Pad, man. That's it. Anyway, yeah, you should go ahead. You should go ahead and try and justify why you liked it.
Okay, so yes, I did like it. I did not think Black Adam was a great movie, but I like the character a lot. I like the JSA a lot, and I didn't think I would ever see them on the big screen. So those are the things that were going for it. The Rock really loves this character, and I thought it was true to the character from the comics. It's very different for him. It's very different from other DCEU movies, which aren't the best. Let's be real about that. Um, so for me, it's my third favorite of the DCEU behind Wonder Woman and Shazam. Maybe not in that order, but I liked it. I didn't love it.
What a damning indictment of the DCEU that Wonder Woman and Shazam beat Black Adam. And Batman v Superman and Man of Steel and Justice League and Fish Sticks the movie,
Yeah.
and whatever else there is. Yeah. Look, here my problems with this is that no matter how much Dwayne Johnson feels an affinity for Black Adam and loves this character and blah blah blah. Wait, look, we know that when it comes off, it comes off. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. He is Deadpool. He's like he modeled his entire life on it. You look at Black Adam, and you look at the Rock's portrayal. Now, what is the Rock's biggest attributes? We know he's not the world's greatest actor. He will acknowledge that himself. He knows he's not a great actor. So he plays to his strengths. What are his strengths? His charisma.
Yeah.
He is a very charismatic man, and it translates on into his on-screen personas. He doesn't really diverge too far from those. That's why Jumanji 1 and 2, or the new versions of Jumanji, if you will, 2 and 3 even, did so well. Movies like CIA, Rampage, even San Andreas, which movies that really shouldn't have a chance of being entertaining are entertaining, and it's down to him.
Yeah.
Now this movie strips away all options for him to give that charisma. The character of Black Adam, as written and portrayed here, is a soulless husk of a character. There's some hint at some sort of inspirational, mitigating, blah, blah, blah. But I'm sorry, Dwayne Johnson's the wrong fucking guy to play him. Dwayne Johnson he's not used to playing the heel.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Black Adam is the quintessential heel. He's not flat out evil, but he is a fucking bad guy. He's not an anti-hero. He's not like Deadpool. Deadpool's an anti-hero. Black Adam he's a bad guy. This is why in the books he comes to, blows with Shazam. He comes to us, or Marvel or whatever he is named, depending on whether you read the books or watch the movies in the extended universe, right, or Superman, or whether it's the JSA or the Justice League or whatever. Black Adam's never the good guy. He's never 100% evil, but he's better than this. I mean, it's more like Beige Adam, Taupe Adam.
I will disagree slightly. I think there is a nobility about him that he has a genuine love for Kandak and his people, and that's why he comes into conflict with. Depends on who's writing the comic. Sometimes he is a flat out bad guy, but the portrayal I like of Black Adam is that, you know, he's not afraid to cross that line. He has no qualms about killing if it's for the good of his country, good of his people, and if it suits his agenda.
And look, that's in here from the get-go. And look, I know we're not going to spoil this. We're just going to try and discuss it as best as possible. I'm assuming we're not going to spoil the territory. But
I don't mind. Do you mind? I mean,
well, I mean, you know, it's opening weekend. People, you know, may not be using us to judge, judge whether they go and put their money down on this. And I don't want to spoil it for everybody.
How about broad strokes then?
Broad strokes.
That's fair.
The love of Kandak, and everything else that goes with that is alternately used and misused throughout the movie.
Yes.
Using broad strokes. They've reduced him to a caricature, a bland caricature, with even because his reasoning for doing what he does is one thing, and then we find out something else.
Right.
It's badly written. The fetishization of slow-mo in the movie is ridiculous. It was cool the first 36 times they used it in battle sequences in the movie. After that, it started to get a little bit old. The fact that the movie is called Black Adam, and I'll be honest with you, he's not in it for the entire film. There are huge swaths where he's not even in it. That feels disingenuous. In fact, it feels more like a Justice Society movie, which I thought Justice Society was really quite cool, by the way. I mean, I thought Pierce Brosnan was probably the standout performer as Dr. Fate. I thought he brought, I mean, no offense to all the other actors involved, but he brought a level of empathy. Hawkman was pretty good too.
Agreeing with you up until Hawkman, but we'll get to that later.
Look, I don't want to be coming across as that guy just picking on characters willy-nilly. I mean, Hawkman he was okay. Did he come across as a poor man's Bruce Wayne at times? Yes.
Let's say our friend RP Genius dropped in to say hello. So, hello, Mark.
Hello. Yeah. I mean, it's just a mediocre. It's not an awful movie. It's a mediocre movie. It continues the DC Extended Universe's run of reveling in pure mediocrity, and that's it across the board. Every fucking movie, pardon the language. I don't know if we've decided if I'm swearing on this one, but every movie that they've done has just been, at best, you look at. Go on.
I don't think we're actually that far apart. Maybe if this is the mediocrity line, I'm just above the positive side and you're below it.
I'm just not prepared to. I after what? Superman v Batman, Man of Steel, Justice League, 2 Wonder Woman movies, Birds of Prey,
Shazam.
2 Suicide Squads, Shazam. I'm probably missing one, but this is either the 10th or 11th DC Extended Universe movie that we've had since, Christian Bale's Batman. And I'm not even including the Pattinson Batman, because that is set in a different universe again, because what the hell? Let's have 36 different Batmen and God knows who else. So, I mean, this is set within the Snyderverse, which I hate that guy.
I totally forgot about the second Suicide Squad movie, so thank you for bringing that up.
I mean, the second Suicide Squad movie was, I will actually say that is the best of the DC Extended Universe movies.
Agreed.
Got it. James Gunn had a banging cast. James Gunn killed off half his cast in the first 3.5 minutes. Great soundtrack. I mean, everything that James Gunn did for Guardians of the Galaxy, he did for Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Plus, he managed to make a giant starfish.
Yes.
An actual viable bad guy, which is something none of the Wonder Woman movies could do. None of the Justice League movie with Darkseid, for God's sake. Starro was way more scary and viable as a bad guy than and it wasn't even a bad guy at the end of the day. It was something that was captured and poked fun of, and then defense mechanism, and got tortured for 30, 40 years. So I mean, James Gunn was the best thing to happen. We ended up getting Peacemaker out of that, which was also pretty brilliant for the intro sequence alone. But everything else that has come out of the DC Extended Universe, and indeed the DC Universe, has been mediocre at best, tripe at worst. It's directionless. It's grasping at straws. It wants to be Marvel, and it can't do that because Walter Hamada, who's in charge there, wouldn't know his ass from his elbow. Apparently, doesn't seem to know what's going on, how to, they need their Kevin Feige. We know this. Every time there is a geek universe in trouble, whether it be Star Wars, Star Trek, DC, or Doctor Who, what do we say? Oh, they need their own Kevin Feige.
Right.
Need to clone him. Need to plant one in the UK for Doctor Who, although we have that in Russell T Davies now. But DC needs one. Star Wars definitely needs one. But yeah, this has not been a good weekend for DC and Warner Brothers as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, the movie's not rank, but it's a waste of the talents. I was looking forward to this. I was looking forward to an interesting take. They played all the trailers right, not giving enough or too much away. The Rock is more charismatic in the press conferences and interviews surrounding this movie than he is. I mean, Black Adam's superpower is to strip The Rock of all his charisma. Fight me on that.
So just to clarify, Walt Hamada is a pretty recent Warner's hire. Jeff Johns was supposed to be their Kevin Feige, and I think he failed at being the unifier of the DCEU. So that's kind of why Walt was brought in. Now
they're all freaking useless. Put me in charge of it. Pay me the big bucks. Pay me the $500,000 a year, whatever they're paying these guys, and I will turn around and cancel everything. I will scrub Snyderverse. I mean, you've got HBO. I mean, I am more and more interested by the day in the canceled Batgirl movie. Because that looked so baller, and the directors had a track record from Miss Marvel, and to see that pushed by the wayside for a frigging tax credit because they put some counter in from the Discovery Channel, while dross like this gets to be thrown out, and we still have to go through what is probably going to be an abysmal Flash movie, because where they're basically supporting a serial abuser, in Ezra Miller. It's just ridiculous. I mean, DC, there's not much. It should be quite straightforward for DC and Warner Brothers to get their fucking act together and turn DC into Warner Brothers' major pinnacle. I mean, they've pissed all over Harry Potter with Dumbledore, the Secrets of Dumbledore, or whatever, the Fantastic Beasts thing. That's dead in the water. The second movie was dull. The last one was so dull, I turned it off halfway through.
I couldn't watch it. The third one is just
again, another franchise that needs its own Feige.
Yeah.
But the DC one should be the counterpoint. Could be the tentpole, because if you look at the stuff that they've got, Titans, not brilliant, but very entertaining. Doom Patrol, not brilliant, but very entertaining. Pennyworth, very entertaining. That's three right there. And I'm not even talking about the Arrowverse stuff, because obviously that's all winding down, and it needs to be honest with you. I will say that I liked Ezra Miller in Justice League, but I would much rather see Grant Gustin in there as the Flash moving forward. I think he deserves a chance. I thought he's been brilliant, much the same as I'd like to see Oliver, what's his face? Green Arrow.
Oh yeah.
I would love to see him given a chance as well to
Speaking of
get away from the Berlanti verse, because you've got the Snyderverse, the Berlanti verse, the Jokerverse, because we've got a sequel to Joker with a new Harley Quinn, and I cancel that shit too, because that's just crap, and just streamline everything. Have a Crisis on Infinite Earths, not in the TV realm like they did with the Berlanti stuff. Have a Crisis on Infinite DC cinematic universes and refine them all in.
We have a couple of comments here. Mark says, seems to be a lot of hyperbole about the film critics calling it the worst film ever made, etc. So comparing it to a film which got a similar reaction, is it better or worse than Morbius? I think it's much, much better than Morbius. I thought that was one of the worst things I've seen.
Morbius is awful.
Yes.
Morbius continues Sony's run of doing movies without Marvel that absolutely suck. And I will throw out there Venom and Let There Be Carnage. Those two movies were pretty rank, to be honest with you. I know they made an absolute shit ton of money, but they made those off the back of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And they've wasted their particular characters. To waste a character like Cletus Cassidy as Carnage, or to waste Eddie Brock, and indeed waste the performers, Tom Hardy, man, and that they have such great casts, and so Sony only does well when it's Into the Spider-Verse, which the second part of that's going to be brilliant.
I can't wait. Can't wait for that.
And then the stuff the Spider-Man stuff they do with Marvel. And they should really, Madam Web, I'm not looking forward to that. Craven the Hunter. I'm glad we didn't get a Sinister Six movie, because I would have stunk to high heaven. And look, I'm not going to go out and say what Marvel's doing is right, because Marvel are also getting the stage where I'm suffering from Marvel fatigue. I don't know about you, but I'd like a break. I really would like a break after Wakanda Forever. Wakanda Forever is the only movie I hold out hope for the rest of the year. And I know that's, we're talking about different franchises here, but it just goes to show, I think somebody needs to hit the pause button and stop churning all this stuff out. And we need to go for quality and over quantity. But the DC cinematic universe needs to be taken upstate to a farm and left to run around with Roger Corman version of Fantastic Four and the 1990s version of Captain America, etc., and Superman for the Quest for Peace.
Quest for Peace.
Quest for Pete. That's a super fetish movie.
We have our first spam comment. I'm going to chalk this up to your incredible reach, but we have a Three Girls in Your City.
Hang on. Don't look at my incredible reach. I've got my this is set on your system, because I'd like to think that my stuff is actually locked down on that. I don't get the spam things.
Damn.
So well, I think it's all you. It's your YouTube channel, not mine.
Blocking that user.
Yeah. Mark Griffiths is right though. Matt Ryan is Constantine. We know that we're getting a new Constantine, but he's even been great in all the animated stuff. That's why I'm kind of disappointed that we're getting a sequel to Constantine with Keanu Reeves, the movie. Love me some Keanu, but Matt Ryan has become that character faithfully. Constantine is not American. He is English. Stop fucking around with it.
So was there anything that you liked about Black Adam? I mean, you have a lot of criticisms, which I agree with, but probably not as strongly as you, which is probably why I enjoyed it more.
Look, like I said, I thought the JSA on the whole were pretty good. Yeah. I love how they handle stuff in that they were they didn't really need their own origin story, which is good. It's quite bold to introduce something like the JSA, because people are like, what's James Bond doing in here, and who's the guy with the flying wings? And like I say, it's not a bad movie. It's just a mediocre movie.
Okay.
It's not. It's just a mediocre movie. And I will actually. I'm just going to stand out here and say this. At one point, they use a song by a certain artist who's come to prominence over the last few months for his anti-Semitic comments. The artist formerly known as Dickbag or whatever is fucking that should have been pulled. That should have been pulled. We've known for months that this guy's problematic, and the fact that the director and everybody else didn't catch that and pull that because it's in quite an important battle scene.
Yeah,
quite repugnant, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I really think that's quite offensive. But yeah, I mean,
we all knew he was a dickhead and
I've never liked the guy. I have never liked the guy. I mean, his, I know everybody's like, oh, he's the style icon. Oh, I've got these trainers. I know people who spent money on the trainers and lined up to get them. I'm like, you sad bastards. He's not that talented. I mean, there are better.
He's talented. Come on.
He's not that talented, though. He's not this musical genius that everybody thinks of.
Sure. I mean,
anyway, I didn't like seeing that in there. I thought that should have been pulled, and I think they could have pulled that very quickly. It was just, that's a simple overlay, and I'm sick of hearing that particular shitbag song anyway. But yeah, what did I like about it? End credits scene was pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's the one that everybody's been talking about. We're not going to talk about it, really, we're not going to share, but it's out there. Anybody can Google it. That hints at something better, or another particular movie with certain character X, Y, and Z appearing, which could be cool. But again, if they can't get their shit together as a universe, there's no point. I mean, literally. I mean, pick a universe, pick a Batman for crying out loud, pick a Flash, pick your characters, lock them down. And you know what? If you need to merge in, you've got an Aquaman, you've got a Wonder Woman, you've got a Cyborg, you've got a Batman in Pattinson, you've got a Joker. I mean, we're looking currently at 3 different Jokers.
Yeah.
In the DC the DC movie universe, you've got Joaquin Phoenix. We've got Barry Keoghan incoming with regards to the Batman Part 2.
And Jordan Colano.
And we got Jared Leto. So I would say, and that's the problem. The worst thing that could happen for DC movies was that Joaquin Phoenix got an Oscar for his performance in The Joker. And am I going ahead and going to say that was totally undeserved? Absolutely, I was. It was just a bunch of wank. He basically lost a bunch of weight, got skinny, danced around with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and boom.
The Academy loves that stuff. They love when they change weight and look all...
it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm sure there were far more deserving performances. And the movie itself was pretty miserable across the board. I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking about Todd Phillips directing it, the guy who did The Hangover.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just a miserable movie. And the second one's going to be a musical. And why? I mean, anyway, that's just my opinion, which is why I'm here.
So Mark says about the aforementioned artist, great producer, mediocre rapper, all around, see you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's very fair and very much agree. Also have a little story. We on the day job, we have conference calls with this other company on Tuesdays. And one of my coworkers, when we were saying bye, she goes, see you next Tuesday. And I just started laughing.
Oh, damn.
I was like, you know what that means, don't you? She did not know what that meant.
I'm sure she knows now.
She knows now. She knows.
Oh, damn.
But I thought, I was so happy I wasn't drinking water or coffee at that moment because
no spit takes.
That would have been all over the monitor.
Any characters, but I'm going through because you're super professional. You sent me a run through. Will any characters bother me?
See, I will agree on your Pierce Brosnan. I loved seeing Dr. Fate on the big screen. I did not think that was something that would ever happen because it's just such a weird, visually funky character that I never thought anyone would go for it. But I was so happy I did. where I disagree with you is Hawkman, because that character is in the comics, that character has been portrayed in so many ways and given so many different origin stories that in the movie they could have done anything with him. And I think he was almost too aggressive to be a counterpoint to Black Adam. I think it would have made, if they were both kind of stoic and obstinate and sure that they were right, I think that would have made for a better conflict. I thought maybe he was a little too aggro, especially considering he was supposed to be the leader of the JSA. So I thought the actor did well for what he was given. I thought it was the writing, not the actor himself.
Yeah. I'll agree with you on that. I will also say that there was no equal. I mean, technically, there's no equal to Black Adam.
Mm.
I mean, again, this is the muddying and the middling of the character, and that's why it's more beige Adam, in that he could have destroyed Hawkman 15 times over and without even just breathing out. And so this whole thing of him holding back really ran counter to how he's introduced.
Right.
And when he's introduced and you see the havoc he causes, the writing's bad. The direction is bad. The choices that are in there, I mean, the fact that it's not a bad movie, it's a mediocre movie, in my opinion, is a testament to the likes of Pierce Brosnan and the supporting cast with regards to the rest of the JSA. I was very interested in seeing. I'm very interested in seeing a JSA HBO Max series. I think that would be great.
I think the talent did well despite the writing and the directing. I mean, the director is the guy that did Disney's Jungle Cruise, so I did not have high expectations for that one.
I don't know if I don't know if Dwayne Johnson got him that gig, but having watched that Disney's Jungle Cruise, thankfully I only watched it on HBO Max. I didn't pay for it, although you pay for it. No, sorry, Disney Plus. Although you pay for your Disney Plus subscription, blah blah blah. I didn't pay the extra premium when that movie came out because it was during the pandemic, and it's a poor man's Jumanji.
Yeah.
And again, it's a very similar character that he plays that The Rock plays in that movie. I mean, this whole con man, scoundrel-y type thing, and that's what they tried to turn Black Adam into. Black Adam's not a scoundrel; he's an asshole. Am I wrong? Is Black Adam not an asshole?
But he's a benevolent is not the right word. He's a good asshole.
No, he's an asshole. And at the end of the day, the one concession I will make for this movie is that it does show that in that particular world and in our real world that the West really doesn't give a shit about other parts of the world,
right?
Because there is this running thing through it of the country being abandoned and left open to to being exploited, etc., and that felt very appropriate, very smartly written, or smart to include, handled with all the deftness of a mallet. In the hands of a better director, in the hands of a better writer, who knows?
I think that's the most interesting point of the conflict, and I don't think that was explored well. Because it's who are these interlopers? It just reminds me a lot of how America handles some of its foreign relations. We try to protect these countries, but these countries have conflicts that we ignore. Why is that the case?
Yeah, and you'd think that, for example, I mean, unless this is hinting at something bigger for the inevitable Black Adam 2, you would think that, for example, the US would be heavily invested given the Eternium situation,
right?
That's in there. So unless, I mean, is the JSA being sent in there to take out Black Adam and protect the people who are exploiting the Eternium? And that is something that you could hint at, you could see. But again, it's just so badly written.
Absolutely fair.
Yeah.
So one of the things you brought up earlier was the overuse of slow motion, which I thought it was funny whenever Cyclone was using her powers. I'm like, so your powers are to spin around really quickly, stop in slow motion, look really beautiful, and throw shit.
Oh, yeah. The camera loved her. Oh, the DP loved her.
She's a gorgeous woman. So,
beautiful woman. I mean, absolutely. But the hair flowing everywhere, and Cyclone was really Cyclone and Atom Smasher. They showed enough charisma. They showed more charisma than Black Adam.
Yeah.
And some good comedy effects. I would say, yeah. I mean, those two and Dr. Fate were very, very interesting. More interesting than Black Adam, and more interesting than Hawkman.
Yeah. Although Hawkman did have that one joke about a teammate that I thought was hilarious. That was my favorite Hawkman moment, where he's asking Dr. Fate about the future and what's going to happen to us, and then he guesses. Funnily.
That to me was like the director and writer sat down and said, let's watch Avengers Endgame. What can we take from that? Because we've got a doctor. He's not strange, but he's like fatey. So he can see the future. And then we've got a rich guy with tech and wings and shit, and he can fly. And he's going to ask somebody what's going on. I mean, they say there's no more original ideas in Hollywood, and Black Adam really does show that. I mean, my recommendation, I'm sure we should pass on to move on to the other topics that you came up with. My advice to you is wait until it's on HBO Max, or you can rent it for $6. I mean, especially if you've got a nice big TV. If you've got a nice big TV, 4K, and you can watch it in 4K with surround sound, great. Boom-bitty boom, enjoy it. But
so
it's unsatisfying. It leaves you with beige balls.
Mark says DC feels like a headless chicken, multiple universes and incarnations of characters, actors leaving roles then returning. The stuff with Ezra Miller, canceling films. There's absolutely this is all true.
This is basically what I've just been saying for the last half an hour, Mark. Thanks for you to join us. I mean, seriously, come on now, pal. No, but look, there was actually a really good article in The Guardian last week that everybody should go to the Guardian website and search for, DC Universe. And they have this great thing that hits the nail on the head. I mean, Mark is right. I'm obviously being facetious, but yeah. The DC, whoever's ever in charge of that entire DC universe could not tell their ass from their elbow.
And with Marvel, there's comparison. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Marvel's getting boring. So now is the time for DC to really strike. Because DC's always had the more interesting characters, with the exception of maybe Wolverine. Wolverine has always been the character everybody's loved from Marvel. X-Men, whether he's alone, whether he's the Ronin, Patch, whatever you want to call it. But DC's always been darker, and that's why, honestly, the Batman movie Matt Reeves did gave me so much hope, because it's a different Batman movie to what we had with Christian Bale for 3 movies. Yeah. And I love those. I mean, as a trilogy, they all fit together really well. Last one, a little weak, little wobbly from in places, but still, overall, a very good trilogy.
Agreed.
But this version, Batman Year 2, that Matt Reeves did, that gives me hope. Put Matt Reeves in charge of his own universe. Put him in charge of the DC cinematic universe. Like I said, if you have to recast. Ezra Miller has got to go.
Yeah.
But bringing, if Affleck's gone and you keep Henry Cavill, great. Bring Henry Cavill into that universe. Less with the bright, boo, 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 boo. And I'm not talking about, Zack Snyder made Justice League and put out in black and white. That's dark. No, that's hacky. It worked on Logan. It was pretentious wank by the time Snyder got it, much like his whole, oh, well, I'm going to release Justice League in chapters you can watch all at once, but I'm going to have them in 4.3 aspect because I'm an auteur, you know.
So I wanted to get your thoughts on how you think the movie will be received, because Black Adam and the Justice Society, they're not Batman, they're not Superman. Not everybody knows them. I mean, on one hand, it worked with Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe because expectations were low or people didn't know what to expect. But then one of my coworkers was talking about it, and he's like, "It looks dumb. I'll watch it when it's on HBO." And then I was making fun of him because he really liked the latest Halloween.
I'm sorry, that's an automatic. This person needs a clue, because anybody who liked the most recent Halloween needs to see a doctor urgently, have a CAT scan, stop drinking bleach, because I loved the of the Halloween reboots, this final trilogy. Loved the first one, thought it was great. Second one was kind of cool in places, not great, but fun. This one sucked like a vacuum cleaner.
It was total garbage. But wait, there's more. He also is a big fan of the last Invisible Man movie, which I also thought was stupid. But
I would say that every Invisible Man movie has been shit. If you think about it, all except going back to the Claude Rains one, that was entertaining back in the day. But having seen Memoirs of an Invisible Man with Chevy Chase and Daryl Hannah, that was atrocious. Then you had the knockoff that was Hollow Man with Kevin Bacon. And look, I love the K-Bakes. I mean, you know, I'm a big fan of Bacon, but that was absolutely rancid. And then this most recent version with lady who was in, you know, the Handmaid Lady, Elizabeth Moss, was again awful.
That was
awful.
So in that context, there's a guy that loves Halloween and the Invisible Man, but from the trailers, he thought Black Adam looked dumb.
Well, you know, look, it's not for everybody. I mean, not everybody. You know, if he said to me, or said to you, you know, I really liked the David Ayers Suicide Squad, but this one looks dumb, then we'd really have to be calling people and saying, look, somebody needs to, you know, reach out to this. It wasn't Kanye West, was it? Because I mean, look, everybody's got their taste. My wife doesn't really, you know, she can enjoy them, these sort of movies. We went to see it, and she's like, it wasn't great, it was dumb, but it was entertaining in parts. And she's not as, you know, she's not as invested as me in regards to, you know, this particular level of geekery. Right. So yeah, people have the different tastes, and if this person likes the more Blumhousey stuff, then good luck to them. If, you know, horror superhero movies are not in their wheelhouse. Shazam, by the way, 10 times the movie that this was.
Yeah, I agree. Just because the characterization was perfect. I love the whole conceit of a kid getting all this power, and when they see him, not everyone knows that's a kid under there. So I love that whole aspect of the character. And
it was well played, well written. I'm looking forward to the Shazam 2.
Same.
This Shazam Family Robinson, or the Sound of Shazams, where they all escape over the mountains into, you know, from Austria into Switzerland.
Yeah, but they fight evil Helen Mirren this time. That's going to be interesting.
Helen Mirren makes everything better.
Yes.
I mean, that's it. There is not one. I mean, she turns up, and look, she's obviously just saying whatever now. She's basically the female Anthony Hopkins, in my opinion, in that one, she's an absolute baller. She's not afraid to say, you know what, I'm going to do this. It's in the zeitgeist. It's a paycheck. I'm going to have some fun. It's not, you know, it's not Hamlet.
Sure.
It's not, you know, it's not Agatha Christie or Merchant Ivory, Remains of the Day, but she did Fast and the Furious and killed in that, and, you know, Calvin and Hobbes whatever that Hobbs and Shaw movie. And like Anthony Hopkins, who does his stuff, picks up his Oscars, and then turns up in Transformers and Mission Impossible 2 as well, just to say, you know what? This allows me to keep on doing my TikToks and playing piano and going back to Wales whenever I can. So big ups to the Anthony Hopkins. And it's Anthony, not Anthony. I've been Americanized. So yeah, I mean, that actually really looks good. The trailer for that played better, I think, than the actual movie when I went to see it on Friday.
So there are some people I was hanging with recently, not too much younger than we are, that were unaware of what a hottie Helen Mirren was in her younger days.
Yeah,
and I'm like, how did you not?
I mean, look at her in Excalibur, and she's Morgana Le Fay.
Mm-hmm.
You can go and see her. I mean, obviously, for me, the first time I saw her work was as a teenager in the UK for Prime Suspect. And Prime Suspect is a great series, a police procedural, 3 episodes miniseries for, they did it every couple of years. The last 2 seasons, not quite as great, perhaps, as the first ones, written by Linda LaPlante, who's a great crime writer in the UK. But yeah, Helen Mirren, just baller. And, if the cook, the thief, his wife and her lover, that's like arty as woo, but she's amazing in that. Obviously in The Queen, she was, again, fantastic. But yeah, I mean, she's one of those actresses who is absolutely fearless.
Yeah.
And you've got to respect that, especially in this day and age of, everybody getting perhaps a little too precious about a lot of things. And look, you play your life the way you want to play your life, but give me an actor or an actress who is absolutely fearless, who is ready to take a chance, do different stuff left, right, and center, and not play it safe over and over again. And Dame Helen Mirren, give her the dues.
And another one, same situation, same group of friends. They didn't realize that in the day, Dame Diana was absolutely gorgeous. Just in the
Diana Rigg.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, Emma Peel.
Yes.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Tracy Bond. But again, I mean, going beyond the looks, I mean, we're talking about 2 exceptionally talented actresses. And I mean, obviously I think we lost Dame Diana Rigg, didn't we, last year?
Was it last year or 2 years ago?
But it could have been 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And look, I don't want to go beyond talking about how hot these particular women were, because at the end of the day, we need to be above and beyond that.
Right.
Incredibly attractive, but their talent outweighed everything. I mean, people who'd only seen Dame Diana Rigg in Game of Thrones needs to go back to look at her work. But anybody who's only been familiar with Dame Helen Mirren via The Queen, or seeing her in The Fast and the Furious or whatever, needs to go back and look at that work. I mean, the breadth of work is pretty amazing.
Absolutely. And just to clear that up, I'm not just talking about physical attraction. I mean, talent is hot. Charm is hot.
Charisma.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to share a celebrity sighting story.
All right.
The year is probably 2007. Living over in the west side of LA. It was coming up to Christmas, shopping at the Grove, and there's a Cost Plus World Market. This is obviously the internet's picking up, but internet shopping for getting my British treats, really hard to do. Wasn't really an outlet there. There was inexpensive, and Cost Plus carried crackers, Christmas pudding, quality street roses, selection boxes. All my Brits will be like tick, 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 tick. And I was there getting them. This was like 3 or 4 days before Christmas. Was there with my wife. And I'm like standing in front of this huge display going, all right, what can I afford? What do I need to do? Who's going to buy a kidney? And I'm going, well, and my wife taps me on the shoulder. I'm like, yeah, hang on, give me a sec. And I like fill the basket up. I'm like, what is it, sweetheart? And we talk, and she says, oh yeah, that actress you like, she was here. Who? Helen Mirren. And apparently my wife tried to get my attention for me to turn around and see Dame Helen Mirren getting a bunch of British stuff too. And I was too busy looking at my Cadbury selection box, and honestly, it's probably not a good thing. It's a good thing I didn't see her, because between my excitement at the chocolate, my excitement of seeing her too, as such a fan, I would have had my heart attack 10 years early, and I wouldn't be here today. So that's one of my stories. Also at the Grove, I saw another Dame Judy Dench, who will be familiar to everybody as M from the first few Daniel Craig Bond movies. But again, she's somebody who's immensely talented with a huge volume of work. So yeah, I just shared that story with you. Thank you very much.
And I think this is totally understandable, because it's very easy to get distracted by Cadbury Flake. I know that has happened to me several times in my life.
So Cadbury Flake, you like bananas?
I do.
All right, get a banana. Leave it in its peel. Slice it open. Crumble a flake right down into it. Wrap it in foil. Stick it in the oven. Also works after, if you've been grilling, drop it in the ashes. 15, 20 minutes. You pull it out. You peel it. You eat it. It's basically banana with Cadbury Flake melted all the way through, and it's baller. You will never want to s'more again.
That sounds genius. I will definitely try that.
I am genius.
So, as I said earlier when we started, Marcus and I are trying out something new together. We would like a name. So, Mark, if you have any ideas, anyone watching live, if you have any ideas, if you're watching the replay, leave your ideas in the comments. We'll talk about some now. My first idea was, combining our names. Welcome to the beer pad.
That sounds like my games room, and that it's kind of alienates you to a certain degree. Okay, next one.
Okay, this one, since you're Welsh and I'm Filipino, dragons and yo-yos, or I don't know.
I mean, I would hope that as you being Filipino, you've actually got something else you could perhaps pull from the culture beyond a freaking yo-yo.
Hey, Filipinos invented yo-yos to hunt with, not like Duncan butterfly yo-yos, but
walk the dog. And I mean, that's an interesting history lesson. I hadn't realized that the Filipinos invented the yo-yos, and as somebody who's never been able to actually use a yo-yo properly, I say you bastards. Okay.
Those are my two. I think I ran out.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
I'm really.
It's one of those ones we need to have something that obviously, that flows. I mean, I don't know what's out there right now.
Right.
Two old men. Ray Pad and beer. I like Ray Pad and beer. I mean, I think it kind of flows. Also sounds like the world's coolest detective agency.
I would defer to you for top billing, because you are my senior. So
no, Ray Pad and beer works really well, because that's how it flows. That's how it flows. But yeah,
beer is alphabetically first too.
Yeah, but you listen to the phonetics. Ray Pad and beer, beer and Ray Pad and beer. Okay. You see, it ends on an incline.
Yeah.
So, and I got no problem with that. So yeah, I mean, I like Ray Pad and beer, and then we can put a little subtitle in every week, maybe, like they do with the episode titles on The Big Bang Theory and Friends. It's like the one where we disseminate the one with Beige Adam, the one with Game of Thrones is shit. I'm
a big fan of the one with very much so.
We can one with the shit out of this. So yeah, absolutely. But please, if you are watching, if you're watching on whatever, we're streaming on YouTube. What else?
YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch.
We're on Facebook too.
Yes.
Interesting, because I normally, when I do my standalone streams,
you do Twitter, yeah.
I do the Twitter, yes.
Who's that?
The Twitter is always quite interesting. Oh, look at that! Hang on. I want to make sure I mute that shit. Oh, there you go. There we go. Look at that. I can press play. And look at that. I've upped our view account by one. Because
Hey,
I'm watching here and I'm watching there. There you go. Really disconcerting. Yeah, the Twitter ones I seem to get good replays from as well. Normally get 150 to 200 views from that.
Mark will give it.
Well, Mark, just don't forget. Don't forget, you're not allowed to call it. To suggest we call this Pep Sucks.
We just lost to Nottingham. No, that was weird, man.
We were awful. We didn't deserve to win. But anyway, that's football. That's a different conversation, and that could be something that we tackle. We might be doing one of these a week and a football one or a Socho one every week. But let's get back to the talking points.
Yeah,
will unfamiliarity hurt this movie? I don't think it will, because you got Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson supersedes the unfamiliarity. People will turn up to watch him.
Right.
People didn't know what Rampage was. It still went to number one.
Right.
So he is big enough. Although I will say, he's looking a little bit old.
Well, was he 50 something now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not one to talk, because let's face it, I'm only 26, but I'm older than they look older than the hills. So yes, I don't think it's going to hurt it at all. It's already number one at the box office. I think it's pulled in 20 million a day, on track for a 60 to 80 million opening, which is going to be fine. It'll do well until Wakanda Forever comes out and trounces everything into the ground.
Yeah.
Where does Black Adam rank among DCEU movies for you, Ray? Where does it rank? Or is it just rank?
Because I forgot about Suicide Squad, I have to knock it down to fourth.
Fourth,
so
okay.
We'll go. Okay, in order, my top four would be Suicide Squad, Shazam, Wonder Woman, then Black Adam.
Okay. Well, I think I'd go with the top two for you. I'd agree on that top two. And we're obviously only talking about extended universe here. We're not talking about back to the Christian Bale days.
Right. The Matt Reeves. I thought the Batman was excellent,
yeah.
But it's not DC.
But I mean, where does that fit?
Yeah.
Because I would actually say that then, if we're talking about the recent ones, I would indeed say that it's probably Suicide Squad, the Batman,
yeah,
and Shazam, number 3, and then Aquaman maybe 4, because I find Aquaman relatively entertaining. But again, that's a movie that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Lots of big special effects, and is carried by the charisma of Jason Momoa.
Right. But see, for me, the thing with Aquaman is that he's royalty. He's supposed to be King Arthur of the sea. But Jason Momoa, as wonderful as he is, he's like, dude, bro, Aquaman. And it doesn't work.
But, I mean, but Jason Momoa's got the bona fide. I mean, Jason Momoa is, again, much like Dwayne Johnson. He is one of these guys that you feel you can go up to and say, just, hey, what's going on? And he has that approachability and that likability, which
I agree.
The Atlanteans in that this particular in the movie, they didn't have. I mean, they hated the surface world rightly for all the pollution and all the bullshit, but he is supposed to be the best of both worlds. That's why the character, that spin on the character works. Because let's face it, Aquaman. There's a reason Aquaman is derided as one of the weakest of the heroes with regards to just appeal, and I think he does Jason Momoa does a really good job. If Aquaman was going to be half human and living on land, he'd be this surfer dude who could easily have been in Point Break.
From Rhode Island. I mean, no one's surfing in Rhode Island.
But you know what I mean? He could have. It's just this. He has this vibe. I mean, I think it's again this sort of like Polynesian.
Is he Samoan as well, like The Rock?
Sorry?
Is Jason Momoa Samoan, like The Rock? Or
I'm not sure he's Samoan. I think he may be. I think there's some form. There is obviously some ethnicity, and I think he might be more Hawaiian than anything.
Yes.
Yeah. But again, that is a look and a style and a way of life that really does fit the kind of laid back character. And I think he's great at what he does. I mean, don't forget he came to prominence as in Game of Thrones as Khal Drogo, who barely said anything for an entire season, but was a breakout star because he exuded that aura, and I think he did it really well. So, yeah, I mean, I would say Fish Sticks is probably there. This is probably comes somewhere after Aquaman for me, somewhere middle of the top of the 10 or 11.
Interestingly, Mark has a Man of Steel in his top 3. I don't know about that, man.
Mark, I think I think you basically watched that game yesterday, and it's befuddled your brains, my friend. Man of Steel, I have so many problems with, and I think we discussed this last time.
Yeah.
All right. What DC movies and TV shows are you looking forward to?
I'm so big on Doom Patrol. That's probably my favorite DC anything. It's so weird and wacky, and I love what they've done with it.
I like Doom Patrol. Like I said, Titans and Pennyworth season 3 is just dropped on HBO Max. Haven't started watching it yet.
Oh, did Titans start? I was not.
No, Titans is coming. I think early November.
Okay.
Pennyworth has just dropped season 3 of Pennyworth.
Right. Titans I have a tough time with because Nightwing is probably my favorite superhero character ever. And that show is just maddeningly inconsistent. Like when it's good, it's
so really good. Yeah.
But then it just is like
a lot of filler.
Yeah.
A lot of filler in there. I mean, it has the same problem that the Netflix Marvel shows had. Where it's like, oh, we're going to do a 12-episode season, but we could really do 8 because 4 of those are just filler. And even the current raft of Marvel shows, I mean, for me, Moon Knight could have been done in 4 episodes and could have been really interesting because it'd been much tighter. Whereas something like She-Hulk actually worked and felt uniquely different every week for me. And I was actually hoping for a longer episode run on that one. So yes, your point is well made on Titans, but I don't know what I'm looking forward to. I mean, do we include what is the old Vertigo imprint? Because obviously that's long gone. Because Sandman was fantastic.
Yes,
Sandman clipped along at a beautiful pace. I mean, look, I'm a Neil Gaiman fanboy.
Absolutely.
I just love his stuff. He wrote one of the best Doctor Who episodes in recent memory.
I was scared of Sandman going in just because I hold the comics in such high regard that.
Yeah, but I mean, it just worked, and like I was a huge fan of the Lucifer TV show.
Yeah,
that basically moved above and beyond, not beyond, but went off at at a tangent. But that last the season was absolutely bonkers. And again, this isn't necessarily a DC thing, but Good Omens season 2, that's going to be great.
Right.
I just don't know. I mean, apart from the sequel to Shazam, I mean, Titans is going to be interesting too. Season 3 is going to be interesting. I'm just going to go with Shazam.
So it's Doom Patrol and Shazam and.
Yeah, Doom Patrol, Titans, Shazam, Pennyworth. That's about it. All right, I'm guessing Mark Griffiths is talking about The Doctor's Wife, which is the episode that he penned with Michael Sheen as a disembodied voice in it. It's a great episode. I'm guessing you're talking about that, Mark, and not the Doctor Who episode that just aired in the UK and doesn't air here for another 2 hours. That's a whole different podcast I will be doing with another bunch of people next week. Yeah, I mean, isn't it kind of sad? I mean, look, let's face it. The only thing I'm looking forward to right now is Wakanda Forever. I want to see what Ryan Coogler's done. I trust that guy is such a talented filmmaker, and he's a writer and a director. He does everything really, really well.
He loves Oakland.
He seems like just a fantastic down to earth guy as well. I mean, I saw what happened to him in Atlanta, where he got arrested during the pandemic for trying to pull money out of his bank account. And there's actually police cam footage of them arresting him at a Bank of America because the teller, even though he had his ATM card and his ID, and he requested, because he didn't want to say out loud that he wanted to withdraw $9,000 because he didn't want to be mugged between the bank and the car. Right. Because he said it quietly and wrote on a note. The teller decided to call the cops on him. He had his ID, he had his debit card, and he had his PIN. And he just got treated like a bag of shit. And it's just, I mean, for people to have to put up with shit like that is obscene anyway. But going back to him as a filmmaker, I think he's fantastic. And I look, if anybody could do what, could bring, an excellent treatment of dealing with T'Challa's passing. Yeah, it's that guy. I mean, he is probably he's the best filmmaker in the Marvel universe right now.
Wow.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm a big fan of James Gunn. Guardians 3 will be great, I'm sure. And then the Russo brothers, I think, they did such a good job, but they've moved out and on. But yeah, Ryan Coogler, I'd literally turn up and watch a movie of him that's the Yellow Pages. And Yellow Pages is non-digital Google for all you young people.
Oh,
basically the analog Google.
I picked these up on eBay for no reason, just nostalgia. Do you remember these?
Yes. Well, I mean, obviously, I do remember them. I also find them really bizarre because, so what they are is ashtrays from McDonald's, which to me is bizarre because, I mean, look, that whole smoking in a restaurant thing, and I used to smoke until I had the old heart attack 5 years ago.
I used to smoke with you.
But yeah, I mean, I would never smoke in a McDonald's. I mean, I know obviously they outlawed a lot of that in California anyway. Right. But even when it was allowed in the UK, the whole smoking while eating thing was kind of gross for me. And so I find them really bizarre. So what are you going to use them for? What are you using them for? Are you going to sharpen up the edges and use them as ninja throwing stars?
Going to make a hunting yo-yo? I don't know.
Sharpen that shit up, cut glass with it. Comedy.
But I think we're going to wrap it up. I mean, I liked Black Adam, didn't love it. But I will agree with Marcus that you're probably best off waiting till it hits HBO Max.
Or rent it for $6.99 when it comes to when it just hits digital like that. Because I mean, it's a case of damn, I wish it was a better movie.
That is absolutely fair. And you guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Mark, always good to hear from you. If you want to hear more from Marcus, please follow him on Twitch or on Twitter at Annoyed Gamer. And please send us some name suggestions, or we're going with Arpad and Beer, which I'm totally fine with. And
no, it's going to be Raypad. It's got to be Raypad because you got some flow there, mate. Raypad. You are Raypad, and I am Beer.
I will try.
I just think anyway. We'll have this discussion.
Yes.
We'll have this discussion offline. But yes, it was fun. This was fun. We'll figure out something, and we'll figure out some way to merge between your followers and subscribers and my followers and subscribers on YouTube and Twitch and everything else, and get this going on a regular basis because this is fun.
This is fun and always great to see you. And I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks, everyone.
Peace.